crypto wallet. That bing bada bing ching ching big profit. Even when the market's sideways, I'm looking for ways to get paid. I'm checking my coins around breakfast, then again around bedtime. Bet this, it's not financial advice, but I'm always right. I'm always right.
What's going on, believers? Guys, I hope you are having a good morning right now. My name's Bleaves. Welcome to Breakfast with Bleaves. And we are just absolutely, guys, it's 90-something degrees outside right now. I live in Chicago. This is getting crazy right now. But you know what? It was suffocating outside. It's not so bad on the inside, but we're starting to feel the heat everywhere, including the crypto market, where we can look over here and we can see that as of this moment, Bitcoin is trading at 22,178. Now that has pumped a little bit in the overnights. Ethereum has not exactly pumped. Ethereum has been at 1150 a couple of times, and it had a few runs down to the tens in the overnights, going into about 9 o'clock last night. But you can see here, there seems to be this wellspring of support that we're starting to see for this market. Now, that's not going to be maintained for very long. The important thing to remember is that we don't have the institutional support right now, and we're not going to get that institutional support. By the way, they are betting right now that we are going down, that we are going how far down? All the way down. They want this thing at the best possible entry point that they can get for us. They are adamant that they want to settle themselves in, and this is what it's all about right now. They're trying to settle themselves in to a good position underneath everybody. So that's where we are in this market right now. We're at 1201. 1078 where we were hitting last night. That's not enough. If it were, then we would have seen a little piece, a little kind of tinge from the markets that we would have seen a massive bump, and we did not see a massive bump. So when you don't see that massive move that you expect to see like that, then that usually indicates that whatever support you think you might have, you probably don't have yet. Whatever number you think was low enough was not low enough. I think that the moment we started to hear, and we did start to hear this, by the way, but the moment you started to hear that the market was in a certain way, the moment you started to hear that it's possible, maybe not probable, but possible, that this market goes to just these ridiculous sort of lows. Once you hear that and you're an investor, then you are now invested in waiting to make sure that that happens. So that's where we are right now. What we're seeing is people holding on. First of all, we have to see what the number is tomorrow. Now, I don't know, guys. One thing that I get confused about when we have the Fed minutes meeting is the Fed's going to have a meeting, and we're not going to get the minutes for about 2 or 3 weeks. Now, the issue here is there's no announcement until we get the minutes. Like it's going to be weird to see what happens, but there should be an announcement of some sort on Wednesday. That announcement should include what the new BPS is going to be. Now, if it's 75, then we are in full capitulation mode and we will tank. This market will just completely bottom out, going to lows that you have not seen since, early part of the 2020s. That's the number that we're looking at right now, because you have to consider we're at $940 billion market cap right now. You go back and you start to look at global charts and you put yourself where you are right now, and you're at January of 2021. But if this market sinks another 20 to 30%, remember, here's where we are. The 200 SMA which is the number that Bitcoin is. That's the major number. The 200 SMA has been hit by Bitcoin, and the last time it hit that, it went down 30% more. And the time before that, it went down 30% more. And it doesn't do that always, but the last two times. And that is an indication of what might happen or what could be to come. So if that goes down 30 more percent from 22,000, then we're talking about a 15 or 16,000 Bitcoin. That's where this is. And if that's the case, then we're talking about a 30% bigger capitulation on Ethereum, which puts it at 770, 800 maybe. So if I am one of those investors, then that's what I'm looking at. And I'm seeing that. And if you're looking at say $1 trillion market cap, and you're looking at the possibility that we're going to get to 700 billion as a market cap, well, we haven't seen that since 2020 in December. So that's where this market is right now. And in fact, just to go over here, we're going to be lower than the January 18 high if this keeps up. January 18 high was 828 billion. So it is entirely possible that we're going to go lower than we were on January 7 of 2018. That's kind of crazy. Like, you have to put some perspective onto this and understand that we are in just a precarious sort of situation that just feels suffocating. It feels so bad. But guess what? This is institutional. This entire thing is institutional money manipulating this market so that they can nestle themselves in at a better position. Now, to remember, if we just presume that there's some long-term capital that was put into this market, which started to cause this massive run, and when I say massive run, let's talk about 2020 at a $200 billion market cap, going all the way up to $2.7 billion market cap, and then going all the way up to a 2.7 trillion market cap, going all the way up to a 3 trillion market cap. Let's look at this giant pile of holy shit money that was happening over here and compare it just back here a little bit to where we were at $200 billion market cap. Now, where does that money come from? Well, the money comes from institutional, or it comes from special circumstance. And that special circumstance was the stimulus money, followed by a certain lethargy and boredom with people, and the tax refunds. So that put, mind you, that put a lot of retail money into this market. Okay. Now, if we think stimulus check, which came right here, that pumped this market up here to the point that institutional money said, oh shit, we better get in on this. And then you have a run to $2.7 trillion. That's not retail money. That doesn't work that way. That's not how this whole thing works. Then you have a dump. But at the same time, this was part of the second stimulus. Remember, there were two stimulus checks. So here we go. And then you start coming back down. Then institutional absolutely takes over. We're at 1.2. It's actually 1.199. There you go. On my birthday, by the way, July 20th of 2021, my birthday was the lowest in the market in a very long time, right? So what happens? It bounces from $1.199 trillion market cap, and within, what is this, a month and 2 weeks, we're at a 2.29 trillion market cap. And then 2.3. Then it goes all the way up to 3 trillion. Okay. So the money's out there. The money still exists. The money is in the spaces. We just don't have it right now. That money, where is the money? Well, remember how much we're talking about at a maximum. We're talking about 3 trillion, right? So put a pen in that and then go look at the Dow. The Dow is at 30,516. But if we take the 1 year number, and I guess we need the 5 year number in order to see that. So this was the bottom. This was the bottom of the Dow. And that happened in March of 2020. And that's COVID. Everything's happening. Everything's going crazy. And then what happens? We go on what is probably just the most epic run in the history of the stock market. It just continues and continues. Remember, We're locked down. We can't do anything. How is this money being generated? Well, the reason this money is being generated is because nobody has to pay interest on their loans. There is no Fed rate. It's zero. So if you want to borrow $10 million, it costs you 1% to borrow. If you're a good guy and you can borrow 10 million or $100 million from Goldman Sachs for 1%, they don't care. They're just throwing money at you because they know that you're good for it. So what are you doing? You're putting it in the stock market. The stock market's booming, and then you just give them back their money, and then you've made a mint off of that. Like, that's what was going on. That's how this thing was happening. And then it continued and continued and continued. And that's why the Fed is raising the interest rate, so that people just stop borrowing the money. What else were they doing? They were buying into the supply chain, and they were stocking up on stuff, resellers, all of this. People do absolutely bonkers shit when there's money involved. And we continue to run, and we continue to run, and we continue to run all the way up to 36,000. And that's when reality starts to set in. That's when we realize, listen, we drop the restrictions, everybody goes back to work, but a whole lot of people, they're not going back to work. Our unemployment rate is lower. Look, our unemployment rate right now is lower than it was when Donald Trump was president. Now, say what you want about Donald Trump, but the unemployment rate did continue every month. And people felt like there was value. The jobs that were created were more valuable jobs. Manufacturing jobs were coming back. And there were still jobs that were leaving because it's a free market economy. Donald Trump doesn't control Ford. So if Ford decides they want to build a factory in Mexico, they're going to build a factory in Mexico. If Chevy decides they're going to do that, that's what they're going to do. But we're going to incentivize, and he did incentivize people to build in America. So you had jobs coming back. People were getting their wages increased. This money, some of this money over here was getting shared with everybody else. Then the collapse happened from COVID. And then guess what happened? Then greed went rampant and took over. And the market still continued to soar. But guess what happened? All of a sudden, nobody wanted to pay people more money. Everybody wanted to hold on to their millions and millions at this top end. And they just continued to run this market up like crazy. Now, all of that money had to come from somewhere. Well, came from the crypto market. It came from the crypto market. That's where all of this money was moved back to, because that's where it came from to begin with. And I'm sure if I zoom in here, you're probably going to see a little bit of correlation between the peaks and the valleys on all of this, because money comes from where money comes from. And that's why we need some of this institutional money back in here. So to get it, we're going to have to take this down to about here, and like this little level right here is suddenly going to be the spot where we're going to be able to get back in at a better price. Remember, that doesn't just apply to us. That doesn't just apply to them. That applies to all of us. If we get in at this 770 or this 800 price, we don't know the target. We just know that there is one. And if we can get to that price right there, then we're going to be in great shape. All of us, I mean. And I think that we were talking about 770. So that right there is kind of the line in the sand right now. And we're all going to feel a whole lot better once. Look, we're going to feel some pain because it's going to suck to get there. But once we get there, then that's the bounce moment. So, here's the thing. If you lost and you didn't make money right now and you're down, I'm sorry. But you have to be a responsible investor, and you have to create wins for yourself as best that you can, because remember this, no token loves you. No token is taking care of you. You're taking care of yourself. You're taking care of your family. You don't owe a token anything. You don't owe anybody anything. That's not how this works. You're responsible to your family. You're responsible to yourself to make sure that you are taking care of what matters. And what should matter to you is you, not a token. That doesn't mean that you can't make a whole bunch of money off of a token by hodling it for a long term. But it does mean that you shouldn't get so lost in a pie in the sky dream that you wreck yourself in the process. And I'm always reticent to talk about Saitama anymore, but I mean, look at Saitama. If you bought during that high, then you're absolutely wrecked down 90%. You don't really have a choice but to hold at this point. And you don't want to put yourself in that situation. You want to always be taking your profit. And listen, if you want to buy more on the way up. If your bag doubles, take your original investment out, leave the rest in. Will that make you rich? Probably not. You give up some of your position, and it's fair for you to say, well, I don't want to give up my position. That's fine. But guess what? If you do that, then it runs up, and instead of getting $1 million, maybe you get 500,000 because you only get, because you only got half of your investment in there at this point. So you only get 500,000 instead of $1 million. Well, you know what? Now you got 500 grand. Make a decision, because you're gonna have to take that money out or you don't have anything. And if it runs back down, then you're wrecked. You're in a bad position. You will have put yourself in a bad position. Now, if you take your profit and you use your profit in order to increase your position and better your position by waiting for a moment when you get a dip, and then you increase your position and you continue to play the market so that you're increasing your position and you become a bigger whale in the product that you like, but you're doing it at a cheap price versus paying a top price, then you're actually helping your token do what it needs to do in order to survive, in order to thrive. So there's no harm when you're doing that. You have to, you have to be able to make money. You have to be able to just listen. I am nervous right now. I'm incredibly nervous because I'm watching this move right now. And if I go in here at 11:57 and I put in, let's say 10 ETH, because I like to do 10 ETH at a time. So if I do 10 ETH right now and I put it in right now, then I've made $700. If I pull out right now, it doesn't matter where it goes at this point. I make $700 right now. But if I put in over here and I went to sleep and I got over here, then I'd lost $400. So I should take out my profit right here at $700 and just be done with it. I made $700. The end. Now I move my 700 over. What am I going to do with my $700 now? Make a decision. Do I take my profit? Do I use that money to make my life better, or do I use that $700 to make an investment? So that maybe that 700 becomes 7,000, and then I can take my 700 out plus another 700. Maybe I make $1,400 off of the play, and I've still got $5,600 sitting in a product moving. It's about continuing to use it. If you use your money the right way, and I'm again nervous because I'm sitting here stable, and I know every single time I'm missing money, I'm leaving money on the table. But this market, bear market, is not the time to play. A bear market is the time when you get played. So I'm nervous because I don't want to miss on that profit, but I also know that if I do what if I do something the wrong way, then I get wrecked, and then I don't want to get wrecked. And that's a very good point. I mean, the very good point right now. If you're trying to enter positions right now, listen, if you put $500 into Shiba Inu right now, that goddamn thing's going to go 10x. It's just going to. If you look over here and you go to Crow, remember Crow was at $1. So Crow's going to go 9x. All these numbers are going to go crazy. Now, Bitcoin is not going to go that high. At a maximum, if we get a $4 trillion market cap, Bitcoin's going to do 100,000. So it could go 4x from where it is right now. Ethereum, if that market does the same thing, Bitcoin goes to, or Ethereum goes to 6,500, I think the number is. So it can go 5x. But Crow, BNB can go about 3x from where it is. It will go 4x in the right market conditions. But some of these tokens out here, they're just going to go out of their minds. Remember, Avalanche is at 16 right now, but its all-time high was 181. So in a great market, it goes 100 and it goes 15x, and that's Avalanche. It's going to go 15x at some point. Like when you start to pull out these numbers and you start to look on the day charts at the kind of numbers that these tokens created. I mean, look at Avalanche. Avalanche was up here at, well, it's not 181, it's 161. I'm sorry. It was up at $161. Like, holy shit. Like, those numbers are crazy. And the same thing with Ethereum. It's the market cap is so huge that it's not going to go crazy. And by the way, when we're talking about that, I think it should be pointed out. We're going to get prices. And by the way, the Dow overnight looked like it was up about 85 points. It was up 141 points overnight. I don't know. It didn't look like it was just going to maintain Dow overnight. So the Dow overnight was at 103. So it looks like the Dow is going to open a little bit better, or has opened a little bit better, to maybe do some market correction. And that's a good sign, by the way, for the Ethereum, Bitcoin markets, because that should create a little bit of a run. Now, remember, any run that goes right now is going to be very tempered by circumstance. So we're not going very far. And you can see right here, at best, maybe this is the market. This is kind of where we are. So maybe at best 1250. If we get on something crazy, then maybe you could get 1282. Yeah, it looks like we hit about 1280 a couple of times and bounced back down off of that. So be looking at 1280 as one of those tops. Be looking at 1250 right here as one of those tops, because it seems like you look right here and you can see the sentiment is, here we hit 1250 and what happens? We go down. Here we hit 1250 and what happens? We go down. Here we hit 1250, busted through to 1253, couple of bucks. That's a big buy, right? And then what happens? Cascade down that we barely recover from. So 1250 is a resistance point, and it looks like if the market's continuing this way, then that resistance right now is probably 1230 right here. So 1235, if you're getting close to 1235 on Ethereum, then it's probably time for you to pull and take profit. If you're trying to do some kind of swing or anything like that right now in this market. So I hope that makes sense, by the way, because those are just the numbers that it looks like right now, where we're going to probably have those bounces, because we're not going to bounce higher. It's going to be difficult to bounce higher. Like, you would need to see a real run on the Dow. And we still don't have an update on the number, but you would need to have a really big run on the Dow in order for that to happen. But let's consider, by the way, massive buy time. There's a massive buy opportunity on basically every token right now. Now, I did some analysis on Volt, and if anybody's paying attention to Volt, if the market was where it is right now when Volt hit its all-time high, then Volt would be at 92.38 right now, because the Ethereum was up 200% to where it is now, and that puts it in around 36, just around 3,600. So that would mean that of that, you're talking about a 200% increase. So only a quarter of that, or 100%, would be the additional value that would be created with the wrapped Ethereum, because only 25%. It's it's complicated, but it's easy. So it would be 6 zeros, 92.38. And think about where you are in your wallet. Think about how you're playing. Remember that this is not about Volt. This is about the market. WAGMI, you can even look at WAGMI and say, look, it's at 37.19. Where's the money? Where's the support? And you can't look at the all-time high right here, because WAGMI did a swap. Let's go look at somebody who didn't do a swap. Then we get an idea. Terrarium. So let's go to the Terrarium and let's look at where was the all-time high. So the all-time high was on which day? 22nd of March. Where was Ethereum on the 22nd of March? So on March 22nd, which is right here, Ethereum was trading at a high of 3,045. So it's about a 200% increase. So it's about 100. So imagine Terrarium right now should be at 2410. And I know that if you don't understand what I'm talking about, then I apologize. I'm trying to keep it as simple because it works in my brain. If it doesn't work in your brain, fix your brain, man. I don't know. But we should be at 2410 on Terrarium because it's about 200% increase in the price action because it's real similar to and by the way, I'm rounding up and down to make these numbers easier. Musa, what's going on, my man? The Fed meeting is today and tomorrow would be the day that we get the announcement. So we'll see. Jerome Powell will schedule. Let's see what Jerome Powell has scheduled. Jerome Powell. Washington Post calls on Fed Chair Jerome Powell to go big on inflation after previous. Yeah, so inflation data likely push Fed to consider 75 basis point hike. Hot inflation dims likelihood Fed can achieve a soft landing. So we're not getting that 50 BPS, and we're not going to get them backing down. They're going to go harder. But we're going to find out because I'm sure that there's going to be the conference. It'll be scheduled for Wednesday afternoon. I guess we'll see the time a little bit later on. But he'll come out and he'll speak after the Fed meets, and then there'll be some kind of announcement. The Washington Post editorial board warned Monday that if the Federal Reserve Board does not take decisive action to curb inflation, he risks losing the public's confidence. This comes after the board praised Powell for de-emphasizing the inflation control in favor of maximizing employment. November of 2021, the article entitled "The Federal Reserve Should Go Big Now to Fight Inflation" argued that Mr. Powell needs to adopt bold and aggressive tactics again to fight inflation. The time for steady and gradual moves from the Fed is over. So that's 75 basis point. Is what they're calling for. Increased interest rates are intended to make borrowing more expensive and reduce demand in the economy, hence bringing down prices. So that's what we're hoping for. As an economy, that dumps on crypto. So remember that. If it happens good, then all the people who are borrowing money, the people that are the investors, they're not going to be happy with that, and they're going to dump. So just remember that it's not going to be great. It absolutely doesn't end as well as we hope. No, these 4 or 5Xs are not going to happen soon. Well, actually, you know what? They could happen soon. It depends on what happens with the Ukraine. Like if the Ukraine just has this rallying, we win sort of moment. And it should be pointed out that you're not gaining ground if you're Russia. You have not gained any ground at all. So, it's not looking good. And we're at the 30 hours. So 35.72. It looks like we're up 55 points on the Dow for the day. You can see that. Yeah. Hey, man, somebody the other day, by the way, came in here and we were talking about terrarium, and they were asking me, hey man, do you think I should buy now? And I told you guys this price is going back down, and it was gonna be deep, and I think we were talking about it last week. And let's do that hour chart, and we were looking at that a couple days ago. And they were interested, like right over here, like, is this a good entry point at 1,500? And I said, it's going to go down. It's going to keep going down. You're going to be at least 1,400 again. So it went down to 1122 at one point, right there. Then, of course, it immediately bounced. So at least, if nothing else, it seems like we found that around 1100 appears to be the spot where somebody steps in and tries to save the price. So at least you know that right now. So when it cascades back down, if it cascades back down to 11, then you know, do your buy around 1150 or something like that, because that's where that bounce is, at 1100. I'm sure they're protecting. I'm sure that these doctors are probably protecting a price point on some level. So 532 looks like we're losing whatever was going up, and the number's a little bit late, but whatever's going up is now. Yeah, that's what I figure. I figure the doctor's probably holding a line at 1100, and yeah, so the Dow's going back down. So we're starting to see that one head back south. And we got a red candle over here, meaning a sell-off. It should be imminent, but our chandelier is still giving us a buy. Chandelier is going to print a sell, by the way, very soon if it doesn't cover the SMA. And there we go. We're seeing a nice little pump up. So the price, it just looks like the price action is just going to be this low and inconsistent right now. So we're at 35.72. So the market's up a little bit, but it's still way down. So yeah. At the end of the day, man, Terrarium. First of all, let me just say this: no matter what I say, should not be considered financial advice. But if I'm buying, then this is a perfect entry point for me, because, to be fair, if you guys remember, if you follow me, I entered at 1079. So entering at 1205 is almost like me buying again at the bottom. Like, I literally bought in the beginning when the price was at this level. So I would not have had a problem buying at this level. I mean, this is basically the starting line for Terrarium. So I think it was a 50 million market cap that it launched with. You're at a $60 million market cap right now. And again, we've gone over this. I think that at some point, this is a $20 billion market cap project. So that's a 300x from where we are right now. So are you going to become a millionaire? You have to put a lot of money into it to become a millionaire, but and you're not going to become one off of Terrarium unless you're already a millionaire and you're looking to just add another million with a 2 or a 3x or something like that. But in the long term, the Terrarium project is going to give you solid gains, solid returns. This is not that one token pie in the sky. It's already got a $60 million market cap. It's not going to, if it 100x's, then it's a $6 billion market cap. And that's fairly, it's going to take a while for it to do 100x. But, 100x, if you got $1,000 in it, that's 100,000. So you got to put in a lot to get something out of it. So, and you can see here that there's a lot of things that are going on. Some of them that are close. They're real close to that 1 quadrillion burn. Let's go look where it is. It was 97 just recently, 97.56. So it's still continuing to get closer and closer. And TerraPool comes out on July the 4th. I just don't think that TerraPool moves. Look, TerraPool doesn't move my needle. it's a nice thing. It looks cool, but in a listen, we're in a bear market. Who the hell's launching new tokens right now? So what's the purpose of TerraPool? So on July the 4th, TerraPool is going to launch. When it launches, it's a great, listen, it can be great. I'm not saying that it's not a great project. I'm not saying that it doesn't look beautiful. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is, who's launching tokens right now? So if nobody's launching, nobody's using. If nobody's using, where's the value? So there's no value to TerraPool at the moment. The good thing is there'll be some value to it in the future. To have TerraPool is a big step for them. The second step is the Terrarium exchange, and that's in the fourth quarter of 2022. And that seems like we're in the second quarter. So we've got a long way to go to get there. So if you want to increase value on Terrarium right now, there's only one way that it happens, and that is new exchanges. So if you see them talking about new exchanges, cool. If you don't see them talking about new exchanges, then this price is just going to go sideways for months. Again, doesn't mean that it's not going to have in the long term a whole lot of value, and that it's not going to be an incredible long-term project. Just means that it's going to take a while. It's just going to take a little bit of time before something happens. The one that I'm excited for, and I don't even know if it, by the way, I don't even know if this means anything, but the TERA payment gateway, to me, that's the big deal, because that's the TERA card, and I am all about a TERA card. So that, in my mind, that's the big value. That's the big sentiment on this. Speaking of which, let's go look, by the way, and check out TERRALUNA, because TERRALUNA is in a market where the whole, I mean, like the walls are caving in, everything's going crazy. Everything that happens with Do Kwon is an unmitigated disaster. Like, this guy is the biggest chode that you've ever seen in your life. And Luna is trading at 61.18, continuing to hold support. Which I'm not saying that I'm not saying that 4061.18 is a real line of support or faith. It's still down. I'm not saying that it's not. It's just, when you look at it right here, then you can see here that there's it's been higher. It's been way higher in everything's going on right now, but it found this level right now, and it's kind of holding the line for what's going on. And what's been going on has been just like crazy. So now they said that Do Kwon stole $2.7 billion, or that he cashed out $2.7 billion. First of all, if he cashed out $2.7 billion, so what? It's his. I mean, what's the... I'm literally telling you, cash out, take profit, stuff like that. So what they're saying is, well, he knew something was going on. Okay. I mean, I don't know how people think that they're entitled to... Listen, if you think that you're entitled to profit by investing, then you're doing what's called a security. And if you're not a security, then you're not promising people money. And like, we're having two arguments here. One is this thing collapsed and Do Kwon owes these people money. They're not entitled to money. It's not a security. And how can he be cashing out? Because he's an investor. If he can see the writing on the wall, or if he knows that while he's challenging people to do something, that it might happen, and he's hedging his bet to protect his own investment, I mean, that's kind of what you do. Like, so $2.7 billion. They say it disappeared. He says, I haven't cashed anything out. Well, then that makes you an idiot. First of all, if you didn't cash out and you're not making any money off of the thing that you're making money off of, other than your salary, you're a moron to begin with, and nobody should trust you with investments in any way. Saitama's on the list. Saitama must be mooning. All right, guys. If Saitama is mooning, does that mean that the moon is inside the Earth's core? Did we dig deep and find a moon? By the way, I joke with Saitama, but here's the thing. The market cap on Saitama a month ago was $270 million. It's still $270 million. Even though this looks crazy, and even though everybody's trying to find a reason to pick on Saitama, and look, I don't care, but when you launch it like a $500 or $600 million market cap, that's weird. Like that's weird when you're at a 272 million market cap. And by the way, 30,000 holders. So they started to pick up the pace just a little bit on. I wonder if I got mine. Let's go check this out and see if we got our Saitama. Well, my Shiba Doge is now worth $534 million. Oh, the joy. Nope. Still haven't gotten it yet. Anyway, so like I'm not rushing to judgment. I already think I don't think the project in itself is bad. I don't think the people in themselves are bad. I think the development staff in itself is bad. So, you know, I hope that they overcome the people who, well, I mean, I hope that Saitama overcomes the Goombas that took over the project, and they find something that changes the dynamic and it makes it start to move. So, you know, I hope the best for them, but And here we go. We're doing that America thing. Like we're like totally Chad Brolian and like Chaddington Von Chadwick. The market's up, so it's probably not going to be sustained downward pressure. So I mean, we'll see. Probably got to get to that overbought territory, but here we just found like 1230. Just what we were saying before, like 1230, like that's where it's bouncing. So now that's our spot. So we just bounced off 1226, 1230, and then headed back down. So you know, we'll probably buy up here and do the same thing because it looks like we're forming that cup. So, but to go back to Dunce Quan or whatever his name is, this poor dude is just so 2.7 billion. It was not that was not a thing. Then they come up with this governance thing. This passed, by the way, and it says distribute 50% transaction fees to the community pool plus increase proposer validator rewards, and it's met the pass threshold. It's all the way up here. Oh, by the way, we also had that Do Kwon had 20 million Luna in a wallet so that he had a huge percentage. Like, for example, he might be Orion.money. He's got this giant percentage, and that he's the one that's using massive amounts of voting power in order to make things happen. And so I don't know that that's true, but that's what people are saying now. So that's why we saw so many votes for yes when it originally launched, because he was cooking the books to make sure that he got what he wanted. And now that he can't cook the books anymore, people are absolutely rejecting TERRALUNA, the new one, 2.0, in massive amounts. And everybody is suddenly looking for a reason to make the classic network work. And it seems like good plans are coming up. But you see here, TERRALUNA, 24-hour trading volume is 145 million. So it's still, I mean, like, I still think that that's a decent amount for a startup token. So it's not doing anything. It's still trading. But Luna C, 102 million. So there's obviously, that's what, 245. So that means that 20% difference. There's a 20% difference or 50% difference in the amount of trading volume. that still means that this is 100 million. And now there's a big burn mechanism. Also, there was another burn mechanism that was passed. It was number 3568. And if you go in here and you start reading through this, they're talking about how this thing works. So what they're doing is the proposal aims to create a fair distribution model by allocating 50% transaction fees to the community pool and increasing proposer validator rewards. So 35% of it is going to be burned, and then 15% is going to go to validators and regulator and delegators or something like that. So here we go, 10% earmarked for Terra Classic ecosystem developers and 5% for core classic development. So and then 15% to validators, proposers of the block, and 35% to the existing delegate. So there's plenty of stuff that they're trying to do here, and it doesn't have anything to do with 3568. 3568 was the one that did a 1.2% burn, but that 1.2% burn turns out that was not for. Here we go. So are you trying to create a new fee or trying to take 0.06 from the original proposal 3568? So 3568 is just the text proposal that will do nothing even if it passes. Devs would need to implement the proposed changes, which I don't think will ever happen. The proposal was approved, and the devs are apparently bucking back and not willing to do anything with it. The 1% burn fee was accepted and requested by the community, exchange, and validators. When implemented, 3568 then has to bypass these three parameters so it works on its own and have zero dependency. So they're already saying that the developers might not put out 3568 even though it was approved. Now, according to the consensus, they're required to do it. But then something came out a little bit later that said, well, that only applies, the 3568, that only applies to, what do they call it? Exchanges. So it's 1.2% on the exchanges. So listen, here, all I'm saying is this. TerraLuna and Doquan are a shit show, and you can't make this stuff up. Like that's all it is. I mean, it's Cody Core, looks like we're going to about $800. We're waiting for tomorrow. It looks like, I mean, we're going to have some pump, a little bit of trading. We'll go up and down for a little while. And then it looks like somewhere around 800 is going to be the dump level. Now remember, we really kind of have to bust through this 1230 into 1250 territory for Ethereum to start moving naturally again. We would need to kind of see that, but like, listen, I don't know. Not sure what we're going to get on. Not sure what we're really going to get here for a little while. Bitcoin is dumping as well. I mean, it's not that bad compared to, compared to where we are. So gonna be a little bit of fighting. There's gonna be a little bit of fighting, like all the live long day, man. It's gonna get crazy. Like I think this whole market is about to get. I think this whole market is about to just get crazy on this dump. Then once that dump is over, once we're at that bottom, Kings, thank you for the $2 bomb, and thank you for the $2 bomb a second time. So I think we go to 800, and for the $20 bomb, man, I appreciate you. So I think that, I think that all I'm saying is stay stable for right now. Stay stable for right now. Let us hit the bottom. When we hit the bottom, there's going to be a significant bounce. Once that significant bounce happens, then you're going to start to see this thing move, and it's going to move fast. Like it'll, and it won't be like you won't be just sitting there staring at it, seeing it just go crazy and moon. But you'll see it'll start to build a little bit of support. You'll start to feel it a little bit, and then and then we'll just be off to the races. And wherever you got in, listen, if you're in Bitcoin under 30,000, then you're going to be feeling really good in a couple months, because the market doesn't last forever. The down doesn't last forever. Greed always wins. You just have to remember that. Greed always wins. A couple years ago, this market was 200 billion. Some of us as investors, we're in a little bit high for where the market is. That's all this is. We're just a little bit higher than where we would like to be in the market. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be preferable if we were invested in at that low bottom, that 800 Bitcoin, that 800 Ethereum, shit like that. Like, so we're up 50% on our investments, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it would be nice to be there. This is another opportunity for us to get there, though. So, hopefully, fingers crossed, that's where we end up. And I'm not going to be mad for it. But listen, I'm going to implore you, at some point, all of these tokens, they're going to take off. They're going to have moments. GOAT is going to have a big moment. BTFA is going to have a big moment. All of these tokens, they're going to have big moments. When they have those big moments, make sure that you are taking profit, taking your money. Let it double, let it triple, do whatever it is that you're going to do. Have a plan, stick to your plan, give it enough time. These things are going to blossom. I don't think that any of these are tokens that are just going to disappear by the wayside. I don't think so. So let these things play out, get your money, and then use that money to get into more stable, a more stable market. Like, that's the whole idea. Like, you use that to springboard your way into a more stable sort of crypto market, and then make sure that you're getting in at the lowest point. Get in on your dips. You know what I mean? Like, get into your look at some point. Bitcoin is $100,000 token, and it's not that far away. It seems. If you were going, here you go. If you were going to buy something right now, what would it be? Not one of the big ones, though. If I were so I don't know what you mean by big ones, so I have to quantify that and say that if I were going in right now and if I had to buy something right now, I would go 100% on Kronos or Polygon. Like, those are the two selections. And I do that, and I say that because crypto.com, obviously, as a name, is going to just be massive. Like, just imagine that you're getting into, imagine this. Imagine today that you just put 20 grand into Kronos at 11 cents. Now, imagine where Kronos, crypto.com, in the crypto market, where is crypto.com in 5 years? Think about it. Like, I can't imagine that it's not a $5 token at least. And that's 945x from where it is, and 45x from 3. You know what? Kronos is a $10 token. This is probably Kronos is probably going to go 100x, and it's going to have a $294 billion market cap, or a $300 billion market cap, and it's going to be up here with Ethereum. Now, again, bull run is what we need, and we need the market to bear it out. But at some point, it's going to have 100x, and you're going to be talking about a top 20 token running 100x. That's out of control. Polygon, I think, still going to have a good run too. I don't think it's going to be as much as crypto.com because it doesn't make sense for it to. But I think Polygon, because of the inexpensiveness and because it's a layer 2 on the Ethereum network, I think it makes natural sense that it takes over for Solana for NFTs and gaming because it's so inexpensive to use. So I think that creates a lot of value and gives it a 20 or 30x just easy. And I do feel like people are going to be sticking with Ethereum. I feel like there's always a bump in the road. There's always a thing that happens. But I don't think that, I think at the end of the day, layer 2 on the BNB network, or layer 2 BNB, layer 2 Polygon, those are the ones that are going to help Ethereum, and that Ethereum is going to help. So, I think that we're going to be looking at just a big network of just a bigger Ethereum network is what we're going to be looking at, basically. So, crypto.com, Kronos, that's going to be the number one. Remember, by the way, look at your values on stuff, and does anything match Ethereum? If it does, how far does it have to go? Cardano 16, so Cardano can go 10x to match Ethereum. Solana could go 14x to match Ethereum. Polkadot would go 16x to match Ethereum. Then you have to ask the question, do you think it can do that? And I don't. I don't think Cardano can do that. I don't think Solana can do that. I don't think Polkadot can do that. But I think that Kronos can do that. And then I think Polygon can do a top 10 number. All right, man. All right, man. At 1200, I think you're going to be fine in the long run, but I'm be a little bit nervous at this point with, we're actually getting on a run right now. So, and this is not where you want to see the run, by the way. So, you're starting to see this one kind of move downward to match up here, but you see these greens start to pop up. If you see an actual run happen, then that'll be good. If we get over the SMA, then that would be a pretty good sign that we're going to continue to move upwards. So, but again, you're looking at resistance around 1235 right now, and then 1250 again. So I don't know that we're going to do that. Well, so it's difficult to quantify and say that it's just going to go 100x, because nothing in this market is going to go 100x. It's going to be primed to go 100x is where it is. I mean, I don't know where it actually ends up, where it actually goes, but I mean, it's definitely in the position of being able to do that. So, and yeah, the stuff that we're talking about is massive. I mean, if that's the question, then yeah, the announcements that Voltoshi has are huge. So, yeah, it's going to be game-changing level stuff. Just imagine what's the long-term goal on anything, and are you getting close to it? How are you doing on it? Stuff like that. You start imagining those things, and guess what? Voltoshi is way further along than anybody expected, I guess, is just the easiest way to put it. I did not, Lorenzo. Like I don't regret it yet, because I wanted to see a little bit more. But I'm holding on to my money right now because this market's got me nervous. So, I'm not sure how this thing ends up going. I'm not sure how it plays out. And I think each of them was $180. So if I bought 10 of them, that's $2,000, and I was nervous about putting out $2,000 right now. So I just kind of sat on the sidelines, and now I'm just waiting. I'll get in on secondary market and I'll get mine. It's just going to take me a little bit longer before I do it, because I'm just nervous about where everything is. And what I don't want is, I don't want to be the one that's out here telling you guys what to do and then get wrecked in the meantime. So I don't want to be that guy. So Always get them if you can. All right, guys, that is my time. My alarm just went off, so I got to put in that work. So this is not financial advice. My name's Bleaves. I'm always right. And guys, be very careful. We should have a relatively, the day should probably not be horrible because everybody's waiting to see what the Fed is doing, and everybody's kind of got that hopium sort of pump in them to try to get their last pennies out. But remember that, this thing could crash down further at any time. So be very careful in your trading and do the best you can. Take care, guys.